7 o'clock, so I think we can begin. Good evening, everyone. I'm Christopher Dustin, Chair of the Thompson Inland Wetlands Commission, and I'm calling the October 8th, 2024 meeting of the Commission to order at 7 p.m. We're meeting via Zoom, and we'll be following our regular protocol. This meeting is being recorded. Audio and visual content is under the control of a Zoom host. To ensure optimal sound quality, the general rule for the meeting is that everyone will remain on mute. Commissioners and staff will generally remain muted except when speaking or voting, and will generally have their video turned on throughout the meeting. Applicants, their representatives, and the general public may leave their video on or off, but will be asked to turn their video on when speaking. That said, no one for whom video is not an option will be precluded from speaking at the appropriate time or from listening to the meeting. All participants must state their name for the record each and every time they speak. Please raise your hand at the appropriate time using the raise your hand feature located at the bottom of your screen to let me and the host know that you wish to speak, and I shall recognize you. Please do not speak until you are recognized. Members of the general public may only speak during those portions of the meeting set aside on the agenda for citizens' comments. There are two such opportunities, one near the beginning and the other toward the end of the meeting. Individual applicants, permittees, and violators whose names appear on the agenda and/or their representatives will be invited to speak when that agenda item is discussed. If any party has documents to submit to the commission which were not distributed in advance of the meeting, please indicate when that item comes up for discussion that you wish to submit them. You must hold them up to your camera so that the commission and all members of the public can view them. You'll be required after the meeting to submit an electronic version of any documents, either in PDF format or an acceptable photograph via email to the Thompson Inland Wetlands agent to ensure that they are included in the permanent records of the commission. I must remind everyone that if a member of the general public tries to communicate at a time other than that set aside for citizens' comments, or if anyone in attendance speaks out of order in a disruptive or inappropriate manner, or for an inordinate length of time, they may be prevented from doing so and, if necessary, ejected from the meeting at my discretion. Those are the preliminaries. I'll now call the roll. Commissioners, please respond by saying present. Commissioner Langer.
Present.
Commissioner Morano.
Present.
Commissioner Obert.
Present.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Present.
Staff members present this evening include Margaret Washburn, our duly authorized inland wetlands agent, Amy St. Ange, first selectman and Zoom host, Gloria Harvey, recording secretary, and perhaps others, but those are the staff members I see. We do have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is the seating of alternates. Greg Corso is our alternate member, and Greg, you are present. Am I right?
I am present.
Wonderful. Well, seeing as all regular members of the commission are present at the meeting, it's not necessary to seat any alternates. And according to the bylaws of the commission, unseated alternates may participate fully in discussions. All you can't do is vote. So you have all of the privileges and none of the responsibilities, so to speak. The next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the September 10th, 2024 regular meeting of the commission. To facilitate that, I shall now share my screen. Amy, can you allow me to share my screen?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem.
Completely forgot to give you that option. Give me 2 seconds here.
That ability.
All right, you should be good.
Okay, all right, looks good. Let me see what I got going here. And Zoom documents. Okay. So this is the do you see what I see moment in the meeting. These are the minutes from our last regular meeting. Can everyone see those?
Yes, you have them on.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Do commission members or staff wish to offer any corrections to these minutes? If so, and if they are acceptable, the recording secretary will please note and incorporate those corrections. I'll open the floor for corrections, if any. As in the past, I will commend the recording secretary for the minutes that she has prepared. A lot of detailed discussion here, well summarized. Hearing no corrections, I will now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the September 10th, 2024 regular meeting.
I'll
Do I
make a
have-
motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner Morano. Do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Obert. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The minutes of the September 10th, 2024 regular meeting are accepted and approved as written. The next item on the agenda is citizens' comments on agenda items. And please note that this is an opportunity for members of the general public, other than applicants, violators, or their representatives, to inform the commission of any questions, concerns, or observations relating to specific agenda items. Further discussion of those items by the commission will be reserved for those portions of the meeting specified on the agenda. Are there any comments on agenda items that members of the general public would like to share? Hearing none, I'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the consideration by the commission of pending applications, beginning with applications previously received, also known as old applications. We have one of those this evening. It is SUB 24031, Max Candidas, 183 Thompson Road, map 87, block 37, lot 3, three-lot conceptual subdivision with work in the upland review area on one lot. I see, Daniel, you're present. Would you like to say anything more about this application?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Can everyone hear me?
We can. I can.
Okay, great. My name's Daniel Blanchette for the record. I'm a licensed civil engineer and surveyor. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Max Candidas, who is proposing a three-lot re-subdivision on 183 Thompson Road. If you're familiar with the area, it's kind of headed up the hill towards Marionopolis. It has one house.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there one of these that would be most helpful to you?
Oh, that sheet's perfect. If we could zoom
Okay.
out just a hair.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. So again, we're proposing a three-lot re-subdivision. The site is about 3 acres. We're proposing to cut off 2 new lots for single-family construction, each about 1 acre in size. The site does have one existing house, which you can see at the bottom left-hand corner of the property. And again, so we're proposing 2 new lots. They'd be accessed by a shared driveway along the eastern border of the site, which is located at the top of the screen. Thank you, sir. No work is proposed within wetlands. However, one lot is located within the upland review area on the south side of the property, the downhill property. We do have some wetlands, which were delineated by Joe Thoreau. The site is all located below the road. There's a little bit of drainage from the road. There's one existing catch basin at the top left or northeast corner of the site that discharges to a little swale that kind of heads towards the property. Doesn't have a huge drainage area. There's not a ton of flow there. And so again, so our driveway would also be kind of discharging in that same direction, primarily as sheet flow towards the wetlands. Right near the interior lot. Oh, sorry. For the interior lot, the driveway will have to be built up a little bit at the low side. And so we are proposing one culvert for the interior lot. Thank you. Right there, right where the driveway makes a turn to the west. We will have a culvert under the driveway. Again, as that driveway is built up, we don't want it to impede water. So there'll be a culvert there with a riprap at the outlet to slow velocities, prevent erosion into the wetlands. Again, there's not a lot of impervious area created. It's mostly impervious. 2 houses, 1 new driveway. I think it's a pretty straightforward project. We have a conditional approval from the DOT. They asked for a couple minor changes. I've made those changes. I've resubmitted it. We do not have NDDH approval at this moment. They asked for a couple additional test pits. And so we did the test pits. We did not find anything different or unexpected. We resubmitted to NDDH. I do not have that approval for you this evening. Nonetheless, because their comments were fairly minor, we are hoping that the commission will vote to approve the project this evening, with a condition that NDDH's approval is received before any work is performed. And I think that's really all I have. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniel. Margaret, yeah, I note from your report that there are friends on the Conservation Commission have raised some questions about this, and you had some other notes. Did you want to summarize those? Would you like me to summarize them?
You can go ahead.
Okay, so I note, first of all, the timetable here. We have 65 days to act. Those 65 days would bring us to the 17th of this month. But am I right that we haven't a 30-day extension?
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, so some of that pressure is taken off. The Conservation Commission offered these comments at their September meeting. That would have been after our September meeting. And there are 4 points. That the first is that the house on the lot is, in their view, too close to the wetlands. Members were not convinced that the placement of the pipe to handle runoff from the driveway is effective. The members suggested grading so that the runoff from the driveway be directed into a grass-lined swale on the east side of the driveway toward the stone wall. I'm not sure where that would be exactly. And finally, the runoff from a Route 193 catch basin is already being directed into a swale on the east side of the proposed driveway. And of course, that the project is on hold pending approval by the NDDH. At this point, I think, Margaret, unless there's something you would like to add, your response to the Conservation Commission's concerns, or if there other commissioners have other questions or concerns about this application to share.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Rogan.
can you point out the existing swale that's bringing water from 193 down to the wetlands? I didn't see that on here.
It would be located at the top left corner of the map. The swale terminates pretty quickly after the road. The swale only exists for maybe 10 or 20 feet coming south of the road. If you zoom into the top left corner, there's not a lot of water headed down through that area. Thank you. It's 2 catch basins. There's not much drainage area headed that way. There's no obvious erosion. There's not a well-defined swale either.
And if you put in a driveway, you're going to have to make sure that you've got erosion control between the driveway and that site.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I can't see on this level of the size of the print.
Absolutely no. We're proposing erosion controls such as a silt fence. Again, on the south side of the property, right near the clearing limits, below any kind of work and above the wetlands.
And the pre-existing house is the one that they've stripped off the siding?
Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah, that
Okay.
house is being pretty much gutted and totally remodeled.
Okay. Swale. I like the idea of having vegetative swale down at the bottom of the hill. Riprap should probably do the job, and they do seem to be separate by how many feet is that from up where I'm seeing an arrow on my screen. I don't know how I'm sharing your screen, but
Oh, I see.
that's one swale, and it kind of terminates now. Going to have a little bit of increased pressure from the driveway, and the swale at the bottom looks to me like it. I like the grass, putting it across grass, but that seems like it's. I I don't know what the Conservation Commission is. Well, it is close to the wetlands, but it's got a more than adequate wastewater facility coming up on the bottom of the screen now. There.
Yeah.
That's a big system for one house. What is this in the outline here that's not hash marked? That's proposed or reserve? Okay.
Reserve, yes, sir. Reserve area.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other commissioners have questions or concerns?
Yes, I have a question, Commissioner Morano. The drive going to the rear, the house in the rear of the property, is that drive a 2-lane or is it a shared drive?
That's a good question. So the first portion of the road is going to be 18 wide. It's a shared driveway basically up to the first house, at which point it narrows down to more of a conventional 12-foot wide driveway. Right
Okay,
there,
thank
exactly.
you.
Yeah. It narrows down.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Morano. Other commissioners, questions or concerns? Margaret, do you have anything more to share?
Daniel, is it it's only got an apron out by the road and then the rest of it is it a gravel driveway?
Yes. Wait. Yes, it is a gravel driveway. Yes.
Oh, that was my only question.
The stormwater containment area there, what is that called? Modified riprap outlet. That's pretty close to the well. It's like 25 feet from the well. Is that a factor?
Yes, that's accurate.
And we don't know how often we're gonna get rainwater down into that area. I don't know. It caught my eye just now when I was thinking about the other uses on the site. I don't know if that's a problem.
That's a
It's-
good comment. I'm not sure if it's violating the code, but we could slide it to the west a little bit. And so that's a good comment. Maybe we could slide that proposed well a little bit to the west or to the downward location.
Yeah, maybe. You got plenty of room to the septic tank.
Yes, sir, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So is,
No, it looks okay to me.
Thank
What do we have to do now, Mr. Chairman or Margaret? Do we accept this?
are we, to confirm, Margaret, I'll just check with you. Are we comfortable approving this, the condition? That NDDH issues approval?
I'm okay with it.
I will therefore entertain a motion that the commission approve this application conditionally on the receipt of NDDH approval.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Charlie.
Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you. Is that Commissioner Langer?
Yes, it is.
Although say aye. Any discussion? No
That's the
discussion.
only discussion that I have was a question. I'm looking still on that drawing at that same discharge area. Are we voting to approve with the modification of the placement of the well? Do we have any jurisdiction on that?
That's a good question. I'll defer to Margaret on that.
Well, it's a drilled well and it has to go down, I believe, through bedrock before there's going to be a big sleeve or
Okay.
lining that brings it down into bedrock before it goes hundreds of feet deep potentially. So I guess Daniel raised a good point that he wasn't sure if the little riprap outlet is any code violation.
Yeah.
I think I defer to Daniel to,
I-
he's the design engineer and I'm just um, an agent. I don't think I can make a decision on that.
I'd be happy to respond. Yeah, I don't believe it's a code violation, but I agree that it's a good idea to slide it west a little bit. I think that would be a great condition of approval, is to just slide it west as far as possible. Again, meeting the health code, not being too close to the septic tank.
Yeah, that's plenty of distance from the septic tank.
I bet we could move it
Um,
another 15 feet easy, exactly.
So we have a verbal agreement that is a good concept and that you'd like to urge your applicant to make that modification. But we don't have any documentation of it except our recording. So based on that slight proviso, I vote to approve.
Do we need to modify the motion then?
I don't think so because we have a recording of the intent and the thinking behind it. It's creating a new outflow and it's also creating a new health related demand of the residents of that property. I think it sounds to me like the architect understands that, and I don't even know if we have jurisdiction about where the well would go. It does meet the Department of Health requirements, so it's just an observation I made.
Yeah, we thank you for that, and we'll see what the NDDH has to say. If the commissioners then are comfortable with the motion as it stands, I'll entertain a vote on that motion.
Can I ask a question first?
Of course, Margaret, yes.
I'm not sure I've done one of these before with a conditional approval, but we're expecting a revised plan. So if I may ask through the chair, Daniel, will you give me the revised plan before I issue the approval, or how would you see that play out?
Absolutely, yeah. I would certainly submit a revised plan before, we expect any signatures.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
I'll then move to a vote. All those in favor of approving this application with the condition as stated?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Then the motion carries and this application is conditionally approved. Thank you all. And thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, everyone. I'll see you soon.
Well, yeah, please don't go away. From the agenda, this brings us to new applications, beginning with DEC 24034 Jason Chin, 150 Wilsonville Road, map 77, block 46, lot 29, to jurisdictional ruling for land clearing to reclaim land for pasture and a timber harvest. If I'm not mistaken, Margaret, our duly authorized wetlands agent recommends approval in this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Other commissioners have any questions or concerns? I think not. Okay, so Margaret, is that all you need to issue the approval?
Yes.
Motion isn't required in this case.
Well, you can go ahead and vote to approve it as a commission. I
Okay.
recommend approving it, and I
Right.
thought Jason was gonna be with us, but I don't see him listed there.
Okay.
I'm here.
Oh, hi.
Good.
Good
I'm sorry.
evening.
You certainly are invited to address the
Oh,
commission if you like.
Good evening, commissioners, staff members, and everybody else in attendance. This is my first town meeting, my first go around at getting any kind of permits or paperwork like that. Margaret's been a great help through the entire process, and I'm here to answer any questions that anybody has.
Commissioners, any questions? Just to refresh your memories, this is Margaret's report.
Chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you. Yeah. This type of process or activity is something fairly common in the town. We've encountered it on a regular basis. So I'm comfortable that as much as our agents reviewed and considered the impact on the wetlands as well as the the capabilities of the applicant, that it's in good hands, and that I didn't see any issues that should rise to our attention. So with that, I would give it a recommendation to proceed.
Thank you. Other commissioners, questions or concerns? If not, then I will entertain a motion to approve application DEC 24034. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to the declaration.
Fran does. I'll second.
Commissioner Morano, thank you. Commissioner Obert for seconding that motion. Any discussion? If not, then I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Application DEC 24034 is approved unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Good night.
Jason. We appreciate. That brings us to WAA 24035, Christopher LaJoie, 8 Fabian Woodstock Road, map 17, block 81, lot 51. Wetlands agent approval to demolish and reconstruct an existing house with the same number of bedrooms. And I believe that right here. And Margaret, you indicate in your report that you are willing to issue approval.
Yes.
Thank you. I wanted to note just for the record that it's not only the same number of bedrooms, but it's the same footprint. Is that right?
Yes.
And although there is some sensitive grassland habitat there that on which grassland birds depend, that's something to watch out for, but it's not an impediment. Commissioners, any further comments or questions?
I'm just thinking that I read about exactly this type of process when I was an undergraduate student studying sociology. The property is so valuable that they're going to remove what's there and put up something that's more energy efficient or more comfortable or whatever. It's just the process. When I read about that in a long time ago, I thought, oh, this guy's crazy. Here it is.
All right, if there are no further questions or concerns, I will this is a wetland agent's approval, right, Margaret? So
Right.
I have a comment.
Commissioner O'Neill, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I actually drove by this, and I thought about it, considered it, and looked at the location, which I kept saying, I'm on Fabian Road. Where is it? But then it's Fabian Woodstock Road, which is up the street, and it's near the bridge. And it's I thought about it and says, if nothing, for the benefit the points that were raised by Commissioner Obert, it also would improve the property, resulting in a higher valuation, which ultimately would add to the grand list valuation. So that'd be a positive, and by all accounts, it would seem to provide a enhancement all around. So that's my observation. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Neill. Commissioner Obert.
Yes, I do approve of revitalizing the property. And when I just saw that map, I thought, oh my gosh, that's where the Jordan Brook comes into the Quinnebog. And that's got to be a really nice fishery. Have you tried that, George? I keep wanting to go in there. It's above the dam.
I have, yeah. It's depends on you catch it right. They just do some. It's a put and take fishery up there, so it's somewhat limited, and the temperatures aren't as conducive to trout as I'd like. So, but they do get in there. Only when I first moved to the area, I haven't been there lately, but it seems like a plus.
I fished a river, but from there downstream and
Yeah.
never got back up above it. So
Yeah.
it's incentive.
Yeah, tends to be more of a fish, like pickerel, bass, dace, and stray trout in the deep holes.
Right. It's not Montana.
No,
Oh,
it's not Alaska.
not even New York State. Catherine Creek was nice for fishing as a kid.
Thank
Out of Watkins Glen.
Okay.
My mind will be elsewhere. So. All right, this brings us to applications received after the agenda was posted. And I believe we have, Margaret, I'm looking at your report. And the materials for at least the first of them are in the supplemental documents.
Yep.
Am I right? So this is going to be WAA 24036, Robert Mooney, 66 Logie Road, map 141, block 17, lot 184G, install retaining wall and upland review area. So I will stop sharing this and share something else. Let me get. Okay. Okay. So, Margaret, can you give us a little background here? The construction of this house has already been approved, is that right? And this is a kind of an afterthought, this installation of a retaining wall?
Yes,
Okay. And the NDDB report has been received and there are no issues there.
we haven't heard from the health department yet.
Not heard from the health department. Okay, so there is really nothing you can do about this yet.
Right.
Okay, good. The next application received after the agenda was posted is IWA 24037, Wojciech Sudika 1574 Riverside Drive, map 55, block 65, lot 14, expansion of existing construction company, construct a 17,200 square foot garage, driveway, septic system, and drainage system. This is the new application that we requested, but it has just come in, if I'm not mistaken. So are we receiving this application at this meeting?
It's received by statute tonight, whether the meeting takes place or not.
Okay.
So you don't need to vote to receive it.
Okay, no, I just wanted to clarify that, I think. And do we have, are the materials, these materials are not included in the documents, are they? No, okay. Would it be appropriate to invite Daniel to walk us through this new application? Okay, Daniel, are you still there?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I am here. I'm going to try and share my screen real quickly.
Okay, thank you.
And again, I do apologize for the last minute submission. The commission had requested a report by a soil scientist, which took a while to get. We got that late last week. Can people see this site plan?
Yes, I can. You
All right, perfect.
might need to magnify it a little bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, for the record, Daniel Blanchette here tonight on behalf of the applicant, JJS Universal Construction, 1574 Riverside Drive. Just to go over a little bit of history, at the previous meeting, we were requested to submit a whole new permit. And so the applicant has withdrawn his request to extend and modify the previous permit, and we've submitted a whole new permit application. Also, at the previous meeting last month, we had submitted an application for some work on the abutting property to the south. There was some material that was accidentally removed. It will be put back. And I believe that that application for fill within the upland review area was approved at the previous meeting. I'll touch real quickly on some of the changes that we've made since the previous month. I know at the previous meeting, we had kind of a preliminary plan. And the plan put before you this evening is a final design plan. We have stormwater calculations, project narratives. It should be a complete plan set before the commission this evening. So since the previous meeting, we picked the building back up to just 6 inches below the originally approved location. And that allowed us to do a couple nice things. Once we picked the building back up, we were able to get rid of some underground stormwater chambers here, if everyone can see that. And we were able to reconstruct or redesign the basin here on the west side of the building. And so again, all the impervious area from the west side, the west half of the roof will go into this basin, which will eventually spill over into this pocket of wetlands, which will then head north and then finally head east under the new pipe before entering another pocket of wetlands before draining hopefully under the road. We also have a little bit of a swale here, which will pick up a small amount of sheet flow from the adjacent property and direct that east towards another pocket of wetlands, which will again hopefully infiltrate and go under a pipe under the road. Let me see. This basin is actually larger than what was previously approved. And so in terms of a stormwater calculation, water quality volume, not increasing peak flow, this basin is going to be sufficient. I'd also like to touch real quick on the pipe near the road. I know Ms. Washburn had a commission. Originally, this pipe was installed without any engineering. It was installed at a lower elevation than the official state DOT drainage. There was a concern that that could impact the function of the wetlands, potentially drain them. And so what I'm proposing is to pick up that pipe and install a yard box at the same, we're going to install a yard box at the same elevation. Thank you. We're going to install a yard box next to that pipe, the pipe that goes under the new driveway, which will be at the same elevation, 443.25, same elevation as the pipe that heads towards the state highway. And this pipe, our intent is to have it be temporary. It should have a similar function to the DOT drainage. Once that DOT drainage has been inspected, maintained, rehabilitated, at that point, this pipe would be removed to allow that basin to function better and allow, again, all that kind of area at the southeast corner to drain better under the road as it was intended. I'm having trouble zooming out. One sec. Okay.
In a moment, Charlie Obert here. I was thinking about this site today and wondering what it would look like with a drone shot. And every once in a while, that discussion comes up at our meetings. Daniel Blanchette just said, as it was intended. And I'm thinking of how that hillside operated before any of the construction went in. I think that I still question the containment capacity around the wetlands. I noted that on one drawing he had, it showed the lines of the altitude of the downhill side of that wetlands, but not of the uphill side. And I also caught the phrase, "We hope that it will work, that they'll rehabilitate it at the state level." I don't think we should hold our breath. The plan looks like it's better thought out, and it addresses the areas that we saw at the site and that we spoke of at the last month's meeting. But as it was intended, as that hillside used to sheet off, we saw recently a lot of flooding at elevations higher than most people were expecting to see flooding. And I don't know what will happen. I just can't expect that our state has money to rehabilitate that road. And for the sake of the client, we'll need to design and build something that he can live with for the rest of his career and sell and make a profit off of. Those are the kinds of things that people go in business for. The environment, the hillside, the containment of the floodwaters, all that stuff. I don't know what would happen if the material that was accumulated from breaking through the bedrock went up against the dam. I don't know, but it seems like it would hold more back. But it's an issue that I'm glad I don't have to deal with. It's an issue that it's right on the state line. It's which state has responsibility. Nobody wants to touch it. Over at the other side of the town, there's a property that the Wyndham Land Trust just acquired that's got a dam up there at Wakefield Pond that nobody wants to deal with. These are issues that we're trying to help the town and help the applicant to negotiate through and make something that's a net gain for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Commissioner Obert, and thank you, Daniel, for this new plan and for walking us through it. It's very helpful.
Absolutely. Could I actually say one more thing real quick?
Please do.
Thank you. And I appreciate Charlie's concerns. They're totally valid. As an engineer, I have to assume that some water can leave my site. It's not working properly now. I'm really hoping that it will be repaired in the future. But again, there's no design that I could make that assumes that no water will ever leave the site. I have to make some kind of assumption that a certain amount of water is allowed to exit the site. I'd also just like to touch base real quick on the report by the soil scientist. Again, the commission requested that we have a soil scientist prepare a remediation plan for 2 areas where some wetlands were inadvertently disturbed. That was submitted, I believe, on Thursday last week. I'd just like to read a couple sentences from that. This is a report from Joe Thoreau, soil scientist. He said the silt fencing was installed in good repair. Other than the wetlands, the 400 square feet of wetlands that were filled, Mr. Thoreau saw no significant or adverse impacts to the remaining wetlands, their functions, or their values. He examined the wetland at the south of the entrance, thought that wetland delineation was accurate. The only disturbance in and adjacent to the wetland was at the northern terminus, adjacent to the entrance, where a small area was excavated to allow flows into that drainage pipe. I inspected this wetland for sign of sediments and found none. The sediment basin appears to be functioning well. As for impacts associated with the installation of the drainage pipe under the new entrance to the site, I see no significant or adverse impacts to either of the wetlands or their functions and values. And then furthermore, Joe recommends the following steps to remediate that. Again, there's 300 square feet of here where some boulders, there's a boulder stockpile, they roll down into the wetlands. And then during our site walk, the commission might recall there was some debris, some bricks, some boulders that were also placed here within the wetlands. And Joe Thoreau recommends the following actions, which have been added to here, sheet 4 of the site plan. And again, these are exactly what Joe recommended. Repair existing silt fence if needed, remove fill materials deposited within the wetlands. Once the fill materials are removed down to the organic A horizon, all disturbed areas shall be seeded with New England wet mix seed and mulched with straw. Inspect the seeded areas in the spring to ensure establishment of the vegetation and reseed if necessary. And so again, I'd just like to reiterate that all the recommendations from our soil scientist have been added to the plans and would be part of any approvals going forward.
Thank you, Daniel. We've moved the discussion on to a different agenda item in a way. I mean, I thought we would address this letter in the context of item GA, which
Okay,
concerns the violation and remediation, but that's fine.
I
Thank you
apologize. Yep.
for bringing it up now. It certainly bears, I mean, there's nothing wrong with looking at it more than once. So there's no problem with that. It did occur to me, this is Chairman Dustin, that these observations were made during a period when it's extraordinarily dry out there. So, and Mr. Thoreau's, of course, he is an expert, and I would always defer to his expertise. But I was a little concerned about the circumstances under which these observations were being made, and I'm stating that really just for the record and for your consideration.
Okay.
I'm going to ask other commissioners. So again, to be clear, tonight we are receiving this new application. We cannot act upon it tonight. Do commissioners at this point, at the time of receipt, have any further questions or concerns to share with Daniel that might be of help to him as we prepare to consider this at our next regular meeting? Okay, well, again, thank you very much, and we'll look forward. Margaret, I can't hear you.
Oh, if I could, I have one concern I'd like to add while we have a chance, please.
Exactly, please
It's
do.
that the silt fence got moved closer to the stream that flows through the existing crossing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see it anywhere on Joe's plan, or I really didn't have a chance to look at your plan in depth, but I'd like to just see that silt fence put back where it was originally shown after the remediation is done, in both the spots where filling happened.
Absolutely. I will make a note of that and make sure the plans reflect that accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. That's helpful. The next agenda item is permit extensions and changes, of which there are none, which brings us right back to active violations and item GA, which is VIOL 24013 permit IWA 2102A, Wojciech Sudika, 1574 Riverside Drive, map 55, lot 65. Lot 14, show cause hearing for grading work that has exceeded the scope of work shown on the approved plans. Much of the material here, I'm sharing my screen. I hope everyone can see that. Is as we have seen before, with the exception of the letter from Mr. Theroux, part of which Daniel has just read for us. So I'm going to ask you, Margaret, at this point, given that we've received a new application and plan, what actions might it be appropriate to take or to consider taking at this meeting with regard to this outstanding violation and the cease and desist order?
Well, that's up for discussion.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, as you know, you can't act on the application
That's right.
until the next meeting.
And I am wondering, and I invite other commissioners to share their thoughts, if it doesn't make sense to defer the further discussion of the violation until we have considered the new application and voted to approve or not. And my understanding would be that that the remediation plan, which has been provided to us, would be incorporated within that new application. That Daniel, is that right? Is that it's
This
not?
is this is new territory for me as well. If the new permit is approved, hypothetically at the following meeting, I'm not sure what happens to these other things that are ongoing. I'm not sure.
Right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Ober.
Yes, seems to me that the specifications in the application will address these things, perhaps even in bold letters, so that we can see that the applicant and the engineer understand that these things need to be corrected, should be as built drawing to show that these items are incorporated in the silt fence and the other things. You know, things are going to be moving around, and once they get started, the quicker they get started, the more they move, you know, the quicker they move them around and get it straightened out. I believed I heard you say that we expect that they will incorporate the corrective action for these things in the application. They may not have said it in the verbiage that came in at the last minute, but they should, in a marginal note in one of those paragraphs that sits out the side and explains that that yes, we are going to be fixing this, and we're going to take care of where we had the boulder spill and such like that.
Thank you, Charlie. I'll make a note of that as well.
So Margaret would be,
Streamline it though, so that they can get this thing done,
yes.
but get it done and fixed.
Margaret, would it be appropriate to make the restoration plan a condition for approval? If the commission was so inclined,
At the next meeting,
the next meeting, yes.
Again, and well, the remediation plan has already been added to the site plans for the new permit.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it needs to be a condition if it's already on the plans, but again, I'm happy to defer to the commission.
Right.
if it's not too late to show the silt fence being moved back where it was before on the plans, that's one thing I don't think the plans, I really didn't have a good chance to look at it, but that's something I did look at, and it only shows the silt fence moved into the wetland at both those areas. And if the plan could show where it's going to be put back to, that would make me very happy.
Absolutely, not a problem.
Other commissioners have questions or concerns to share with Daniel? Daniel, if not, then I had one, and I'm not sure how to put this. How we need to be sure that the restoration plan is being followed, as I'm sure you understand.
Of course.
So, with reference, say, to item 3, once fill materials are removed down to the original organic A horizon, I think I know what an A horizon is. I know you do, but can we assume that this would need to be supervised by someone who is knowledgeable about these things? So is that a responsibility you would assume? Do we need a soil scientist to confirm that the fill materials have been removed down to the appropriate layer? I'm not sure how what the oversight structure would be in this case for the restoration plan.
Of course, I agree that some oversight, some inspections, are totally reasonable. They're fairly typical for a project like this. I think either your wetland agent, Margaret, or myself could be charged with doing some inspections as this work is taking place, at the commission's pleasure.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Commissioners have any final questions or concerns for Daniel? If not, then we are going to defer consideration of VIOL 23013 and the show cause hearing until our next regular meeting, when we have an opportunity to further discuss the new application that's been submitted and the restoration plan that would be a part of that.
This is Justin Sadika representing the owner.
Oh, hello, Justin.
Yep.
Thank you for being
So
here.
I would just like if it would be possible for Daniel to also touch base on where we intend to stockpile materials once we actually start working again. So in terms of the remediation, all of the stone will be processed and moved away from the wetlands onto the location that Daniel has marked out as a new stockpile. And at that time, we will be doing the restoration and remediation. Otherwise, we'll be doing more harm than good by trying to squeeze a machine between what's currently there.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that, Justin. And I think actually Joe Thoreau describes that kind of tangentially in one of his reports. Right now, we can't really pull that debris out of the wetlands without driving through the wetlands, which is not advisable. And so some of those stockpiles will have to be removed to provide access to the remediation area. So I think Justin's absolutely correct. We should make that clear to the commission. It's not something that we can do tomorrow. We have to move some material out of the way to get to that area.
I think it's in item 2.
It is, and it's right there, if everyone can see that.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely.
Could you show us on the plan where the new stockpile area is, please?
Of course. Let me try and share my screen one more time, please. Oh, where'd it go? All right. If everyone can see that?
Yes.
All right. So again, just scrolling down to sheet 2 of the site plans. The area of wetlands disturbance is shown right here. And again, a small pocket right here. There's a large pile of stones right here from blasting out ledge. And so again, so those stones will be crushed, and we have a proposed stockpile here. We tried to keep it as far away from the wetlands as possible. So a lot of this stone will have to be crushed and moved over to this location before we can access the wetlands and perform the remediation.
Thank you, Daniel. Margaret, is that satisfactory?
Are they talking about doing this after? They're not asking to do the work now, are they? Or are you, Daniel?
No, we do not have a gravel permit at this time. So sorry to interrupt.
Not at
So,
all.
but that would be
Oh, go ahead.
that would be post approval of the gravel permit, which is later this month. The zoning commission will be voting on that, if I remember correctly.
Now that we have a new thank you, Justin. Now that we have the new plan, I would like personally to do an inspection there. And I don't know if any of the commission members feel like they would like to do an inspection there. One of the areas I've never really seen the area to the west of where we stood at the catch basin that was filling up with sediment where the frog was, and I'd kind of like to walk the edge of personally walk those erosion controls, and then I'd like to try to get a better look at the wetland near the road where the big pile of rocks is next to that. I've never really been able to see the silt fence on the west side of that wetland relative to the big pile of rocks that got put there. Just to ease my concern whether, hopefully nothing, the rocks didn't go past that piece of silt fence, but I've never really seen it because the rocks are, you know, so close to the wetland there, I couldn't really tell. So those are a couple areas I would like to take a peek at, and I don't mind going with Justin and or Daniel if the commission doesn't feel like they need to go.
I'd be willing to go. I'm really curious about that hillside, as you've heard me say. Wish we had a drone. Run it up there, because exactly the things that Margaret wants to see, they're not as easy to scramble into as they were when we were undergraduates.
Well, we'll bring that up when we get to the budget, Commissioner Ober. I too would be happy to join you, Margaret. Is this something that we need? Does this become therefore a special meeting?
Oh, a site walk.
And if so, do we need a quorum for that? Do we need to schedule that now?
The thing is with the open meeting law, if Chris and I join Margaret, that's a public meeting.
Right.
So we have to go through all the rigmarole.
I don't mind putting out the meeting announcement and doing like we did for the last one.
Okay. Do we need to set a date for that now, or can we?
The Saturday before our next meeting. Because we're just receiving the application tonight.
That's right.
Right? That's statute.
That would be Saturday, the 2nd of, we're the second Tuesday. That would be Saturday, the 9th of November.
What time?
10 o'clock always feels like a good time to.
Is that okay with you, Charlie?
Yeah.
That can be, it can be earlier as far as I'm concerned. Daniel, does that work on your calendar?
Wide open.
Okay.
Wide open, you tell me.
Sorry to interrupt again. This is Justin again. Would it not be possible to be able to schedule this sooner? That way, if there are any questions, we have ample time to respond to them for the next meeting. Otherwise, we're gonna have all of 2-3 days basically to respond.
Are we restricted with the Department Secretary of State? That's who we submit our schedule of meetings to. I don't know. I don't have any problems with it, but you never know who's going to say, "Oh, you violated the open meetings law. You're working on a business deal." I don't know.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. My sense is that we just need time to post the special meeting. So we could move it up to the 2nd of November, couldn't we? And still be within that time frame.
Yes. I think Justin's idea is a good idea.
Yeah, it sounds good to me as well. Thank
All
you.
right. Yeah, I don't have any problems with that.
So we'll do the 2nd of November.
Decide on 9 a.m., 10 a.m.
Good.
10? Perfect.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. I don't think we have anything further on this tonight. unless any commissioners have anything to add. Okay.
All right.
Thank
Thank you for
you
the
very
time,
much.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Justin, for your
you.
contributions, appreciate it. Very helpful. And we'll be seeing you relatively soon.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
You can stay. Okay, this brings us to other business, the next item on the agenda.
Commissioner Justin,
Yes, Gloria.
did we act on WAA 24038, Teresa Midas?
I was going to ask our inland wetlands agent about that when we got to her report.
Okay,
But we could bring it up now. Is it all right if we backtrack on the agenda and take a step back to applications received after the agenda was posted? So Margaret, this appears on your report as WAA 24038, Teresa Midas, 506 Quadic Road, map 143, block 16, lot 6A. It says AA here. Construct a 10 by 28-foot garage on a gravel base in the upland review area. There were no materials associated with this application in the documents.
Right. It
Like
came in,
Gloria.
it came in today and we
Okay.
need health department approval, and I'm intending to go there tomorrow and do the inspection.
Okay.
And it's
Wonderful.
just an agent approval.
Right. Thank you. Okay, uncontroversial, I think. Thank you, Gloria, for pointing that out, for reminding me that we had that. We had yet another of those applications just in. Okay, so then we will we'll move to other business, including the draft of the 2025 meeting schedule. Let me see if I can get to that. And there it is. Okay. And what do we need to approve this?
Yes.
yes.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the draft meeting?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner.
was there some discussion about changing the time?
Well, there was, and so I'm wondering if we should, even though they're not contiguous, so to speak, on the agenda, if we should perhaps take those together or defer action on this until we consider changing the meeting time. Or perhaps can we combine these agenda items and just do them both together now?
I suggest that we do that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Fairly overdue.
thank you.
What time is it scheduled for? Change it to 6 or 6:30 or what? I hadn't heard this before.
This is an open discussion. The question, Margaret raised the question with me. I thought it would be a good idea, given that some of our meetings have gone rather late when we start at 7, especially if we have a full agenda. And not only does that take a toll on commissioners and staff and other participants, but it struck me that if we have a full agenda and we're going late, we're often pressed when it comes to consideration of items that appear later on the agenda, and we aren't maybe doing them justice when we end up when we don't get to those until later in the night. So so I myself would be in favor of moving our starting time up even to 6 o'clock. But this is something that I'd like to hear other commissioners reflect on.
I think we need to hear from people who have a schedule outside of their house.
Right.
And so I'll sit back and wait.
I have a comment, Chair.
Yes, Commissioner O'Neill.
Yes, thank you. You know, I saw the note, and I spent many of my years commuting to Boston, which is a good day an hour, and a bad day longer. And so to make a 6 o'clock meeting would mean you probably wouldn't be leaving the office, you know, in a time at 4 o'clock. You have to leave early for these commission meetings. And as our town, grows and we bring people in from, more remote work locations as more of a bedroom community, which we hear often discussed in our planning and zoning commission hearings. That's one side of it. And so those folks really need to be able to get back and rest and, think about the meetings. The other part is perhaps sustenance you might want to eat before you come to the meeting, as opposed to have the meeting, then have dinner later. Selfishly, I work remote, I'm here, and it's not a big deal. So 6 o'clock would be selfishly better for me, but or 6:30. But still, on days I work until 5, and I like to unwind a minute before I jump into another meeting after working 10 or 12 hours a day. So there's pros and cons to it, and there seems to be a rhythm that's been established over time that shows 7 o'clock to be a common time. The only exceptions I think I see are more like the Board of Selectmen, which again, you don't really have necessarily a community of folks that commute in that category. So, I think arguments can be made for and against it. I guess I'd err on the side of keeping it at 7 and maybe looking at our discipline in scheduling and advancing discussions and things like that to keep the time under control. But there's no perfect solution here, but those are my random comments. Thank you.
Thank you. They're very thoughtful, actually. Thank you, Commissioner O'Neill. Other commissioners have thoughts about this?
This is David Langer. I'm just wondering if the continuation of the Zoom meetings or going back to in person, is that something that has been discussed, and is there a schedule for when that might take place, which helps to speed up the meetings, I think, just because of the efficiency of looking at documentation versus having to find it and roll back and forth on the screen.
That has not been brought up, except in the hallway. In my experience, that would be another matter. I don't know if we're obligated to continue also providing the Zoom option for citizens and others who cannot attend in person, and whether we would still have to do some screen sharing to facilitate that. It isn't something that we've explored. But
Mr. Chairman?
I think we should at some point. Yes, Commissioner Obert.
Yes, to that discussion point, we could be a lot better with hybrid meetings in this town. Personally, I like the commute. This is much more comfortable for me. And I think that we've had good involvement. I'm not, I guess that there are times when our meetings seem to drag on, but I think that we've given fair hearing to the applicants, and we've dealt with a lot of pretty complex things over the last few years, even while Zoom was going on. Changes in our ordinance and things that we've done that are complex. So for all of us that worked for the town to help that happen, good. That's good. That'll help. 7 o'clock does seem to make more sense for people that are working outside of their house. You got to get home. You got to unwind. You got to have something to eat. And whether it's a Zoom meeting or at the town hall, it still seems more common, a target agreed upon by people who are doing this stuff. Is there another page, one that has the site walks? Or is that, how do we deal with that?
I don't think we have site walks scheduled for 2025 yet.
Okay, well then that what we did for November 2nd is even easier. Okay.
Right. Commissioner, other commissioners have comments. Commissioner Morano, Commissioner Corso. I think I'll,
Mr. Chair,
yes, Commissioner Morano.
here, I can appreciate both sides of this argument. Or not argument, discussion.
Mhm.
I also know that in times past, there hasn't been as much on the agenda, and the agenda seems to be getting more complex now, and I think part of it probably is because the town is expanding with the new zoning regulations or whatever.
Mhm.
But I also understand that people need to have their lives and have time to get ready for meetings and whatnot, so I think I would go with whatever the majority of the commission decided.
Very well.
Fair. Commissioner
Uh,
O'Neill?
Commissioner O'Neill, yes.
Yes, yeah, I want to echo some of those comments, and there's pros and cons. I strongly recommend we continue with 7 o'clock for the reasons I pointed out. And also to Commissioner Overt's observation about the site walks, there was a point where we had standing site walks the Saturday prior to the meetings, and we would of course have to cancel them adequately in a timely manner to cancel them. So we had a standing meeting, a standing site walk, and we had to cancel them. So we took another approach a couple of years ago, saying, well, wait a minute, let's rather have a standing meeting, have to cancel it. Let's go the other way and only schedule them when needed. So that sort of gives some, insight onto that component. But then there's always the issue of public hearings and things when people, citizens have to come up and want to show up. And, if you make it so it's hard for folks that work remotely, that they aren't remote and they may not kind of work that allows that kind of work, then, or participation, then that's all the more reason to have a time that they can participate. And, we may have to have hybrid meetings. And so I leave it to the informed group here as to what to do next, but I recommend you go with the 7 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I think the question of hybrid meetings is a very good and important one. But I think we'll postpone that for a future
I
agenda.
make a motion that we accept this proposed schedule for the 2025 meetings.
Before we have that being a done deal, is there any chance we could get a show of hands from how many of the commissioners want to stick with 7 o'clock or are willing to consider going earlier?
Can I-
Willing to consider, now that's raise 2 hands.
I'm at 7 o'clock I'm strongly in favor of trying to do it at least slightly earlier because of my schedule.
Okay, well, that makes sense then.
do I have the option of polling the commission?
Yeah.
Why not?
Can I do
Show of
that?
hands.
And perhaps what if we did 6:30 and I kind of show of hands, or maybe because I can't see all the hands. There I can see most of them. So can this is not a vote, but those who would support moving our meeting time up to 6:30, can you raise your hands? So I have 1, I have 2, that would be me. And Greg, is your hand raised? I can't.
I have not raised my hand.
Oh, you've not raised your hand. Okay. And David, did you raise your hand or not?
I'm not opposed to it. Yep, it's okay.
How about Fran?
Fran's hand is raised, if that's not for.
There's a hand raised on her icon.
So I
I think most of us are
clarify,
willing and able to go to an earlier start time.
right.
We can move it around later, but we're committed for a year at 6:30, so. from
And
January-
it wouldn't start until January.
Yeah, from January on.
Commissioner Corso, did you want to say something?
Yeah, to clarify, we're voting on whether we support or are opposed or not opposed to, because I think those are two different things. I don't necessarily support moving to 6:30, but I'm also not opposed to it vehemently either.
Okay, that's fine grained. I think maybe at this point it's not opposed, but I will entertain given that there does seem to be substantial support for moving the meeting ahead. I would entertain a motion now to and so I'm going to do this now because since before we vote on this, on this draft schedule, and we'll incorporate it in the draft if the motion passes. Would anyone make a motion to move our regular start time from 7 o'clock to 6:30, effective January 2025?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Morano. Is anyone willing to second that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Langer. So I will now entertain, if there's is there further discussion? So this now, Greg, to be clear, is a vote on whether to make that change. And I'm sorry you can't vote anyway. But, that's what I meant by all of the privileges and other responsibilities.
To his point, it is that fine line because that's my same stance. I'm not pushing to move to 6:30, but I'm not opposed to it.
It does.
If it makes it work better with Margaret, then by all means, we should do it.
It does sound to me as if it would materially benefit some people at this point. Granted, Commissioner O'Neill's observations that other individuals who may serve on the commission, it may affect them differently. Perhaps it's a short-term gain, and but their long-term things might work out differently. So I will now call the vote. All those, we have the motion, it's been seconded. All those in favor of moving our regular meeting time to 6:30, effective January 2025, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Commissioner O'Neill, you're free to vote nay.
I'm in the same, it's like Corso. I'm like, it's not, there are pros and cons, and I'm not opposed to it. I just don't think I think there's disadvantages, but let's try it, let's give it a shot.
Okay, that motion passes.
Okay.
So now I will entertain, if this is appropriate, a motion to accept the draft 2025 IWC meeting schedule, with the amendment that that our meetings will begin at 6:30 rather than 7 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
Thank
I'll
you,
second the
Commissioner.
motion.
Do I have a second on that motion?
Yes, I second the motion.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner O'Neill. I'm sorry I didn't hear that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. All right, thank you very much. The next item of business is a draft policy statement regarding revised documents deadlines. There has been some conversation about this over email.
I believe historically the commission had to have everything they needed for an application 4 business days before the meeting. So this doesn't seem I don't know why it went by the wayside, but this doesn't seem like an unreasonable thing.
I think we've experienced this, Commissioner Chairman Dustin, even tonight. It's very difficult, if not impossible, to exercise due diligence and adequately review some of these revised plans, unless we are given adequate time in which to do so. So I myself don't see a problem with this. So I will entertain a motion to adopt the draft policy statement regarding revised document deadlines that the inland wetlands agent has prepared.
I'll make the motion that we adopt that draft policy statement about submission of documentation.
Thank you, Commissioner Morano. Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Langer. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? That motion carries. Which brings us to a draft supplemental page to add to the forms that we updated on July 1st, or that became effective, that were updated and became effective on July 1st of this year. Margaret, do you want to say briefly what the rationale for this is? I think it's fairly straightforward. This is information. It is very helpful for us to have. We often go back and ask for it after the fact. And why not get it up front?
This is probably the most important information we need, and somehow it wasn't on the last version of the forms or the new version of the forms. And in fact, on and for example, on the version of the Sudika plan application that got approved in the first place, when it asked for an amount of alteration, it was left blank and it still got approved. And so I'm a person who likes to quantify impacts, and that's why I think all this information would be good for every project. And the very first item will tell us whether or not we need to really be, looking for amounts of fill or excavation in wetlands. If they just tell us up front if they're only working in the upland review area.
Thank you. Other commissioners have questions about this? And Margaret, I take it this is standard operating procedure in other towns? That
Yes.
forms require this information. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Robert.
I have a question. Just looking at this form, is this something that can capture the data, actually capture the data on the web page? So instead of filling in the blank and then putting it in a filing cabinet somewhere, it says proposed fill 6,000 cubic yards in a upland in a wetlands. We would have it right there at our fingertips.
Well, my proposition is to attach it to all the forms, the applicable forms, so that we'd get this information for every project.
So we need to take a vote to modify the form.
Wait, to add this supplemental page, that's all.
Strictly speaking, we aren't revising the forms we've already approved. We're voting to
ask for supplemental information.
Exactly. Attach a supplemental page. Going electronic with our application forms is another question.
Yeah, that just occurred to me when I looked at it.
I've been working on it since I got here, and PermitLink has said they would do it. It hasn't happened yet, but our forms are available on the website, and so if you folks vote to approve this, I will attach this page to the forms that are applicable. It's probably not applicable for something like just an extension, but for the agent approvals and the commission, approvals for individual lots and so forth, where people are, proposing to work in upland review areas or wetlands, we could attach this page, and it would make everybody's life easier to summarize the quantities of alteration.
Yeah, that's something we should probably tell visitors to the town's website too. Inland Wetlands is making it easier to solve this problem.
We'll put that on the t-shirt. We make your lives easier. Commissioner
Commissioner Dustin.
We're here to help.
Commissioner Dustin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, a great improvement, Margaret, and that I guess I was surprised. I thought we had it, we had automated or in the process of automating the applications for different land use activities in the town, but maybe I'm mistaken. So yeah, more automation the better. Digitize it, reduces errors, provides the ability to scan data, provides data for analysis and other things. But yeah, why not? If it doesn't apply, it doesn't apply. And also, even to your point on an extension, maybe they need an extension. They want to include enhancement. So then maybe that's something different. But either way, I think it's a good idea. And why not? Well, I see no downside to this.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion then to approve this supplemental information to be attached to our?
I'll make the motion. We approve the supplemental information request required.
Thank you. Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second the motion. Commissioner
All in
O'Neill.
Favor. Thank you.
For
Commissioner.
discussion,
Oh,
we
yeah,
have to, on this form that I'm looking at, we have to have document control that would show people who only looked at that page what it's for. It's got to be linked more completely to the original form. And it may be able to do that. We may be able to just add this at the bottom of the page. I don't see that. But
good
we've
point.
got to have chain of custody
But
for what this is for.
Good point. I think what you need to, good to Commissioner Obert's comments, I think what you want to do is put an edition date on all forms so we know when they were created. So we have series, right? Editioning. And secondly, incorporate by reference the application, which in fact it's being attached to, because otherwise they could shuffle a stack of them and you know which one goes where. So that's another thing. But from a contract standpoint or from an application standpoint, you want to have continuity from the beginning to the end and make sure, attached to and forming part of whatever, date, time. And this is the form that we're using, the edition date, because you may change this form. How do you know if it's the most current form or an outdated form? But that's sort of a administrative thing.
Yeah, I
It is
can do that.
It's received a lot of thought. It's ISO programming, and it's document control. And George is right. We did a lot of work on this in the last year and a half or 2 years, but I never thought about document control until just now. But it's how you know that you're working with the correct form, that you're not pulling an old one out of the filing cabinet and or downstairs from the wetlands office, they're pulling an old form out of the filing cabinet.
Thank you.
I can add a page number to each form, which most of the forms are either 1 or 2 pages as it is now. So I could make it say, for example, this is page 2 of the application for work on an individual permit supplemental form D, and put the date that this form started to clarify all the points you just raised, and they're good points.
Yeah, it has to have continuity, as George said. And it's not that hard. And don't reinvent the wheel. There's all sorts of protocols available from UConn and other places that'll just zero it right in for you.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner Obert. All right, this is an hour and a half into the meeting, the point at which I tend to forget whether I think we have a motion. And do we have a second?
We had a motion and seconded, I thought. So
Yes.
we'll get to this vote.
Yes, you
We've had
do.
the discussion, extensive
Move this
discussion.
Supplemental page to add to forms as already updated, subject to the administrative annotations, which I think make a great deal of sense. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, well, that motion passes. Thank you. Speaking of quantification, I don't have any materials for this. Discussion, how many years a wetlands delineation is considered to be accurate? And so I take it, Margaret, this was in your, you elaborate on this in your report. That it looks to me as if in Massachusetts specifies 3 years statewide. Brooklyn did 15 years. You have a colleague who recommends no longer than 10 years. So this would become another policy statement.
It could. The purpose behind making it a decision that you make together is that so that everybody gets treated the same. And if someone comes in and the wetland flags are 20 years old, like I'm being asked now to sign off on a subdivision that was from 2004. And in fact, the delineation on that dates back to 1989. And so if 2 different people come in with old flags, and if one of them is told he has to redo them because it's been so long and the other one isn't, it wouldn't bode well for anybody. And so if, and I'm not trying to force you into making a decision about this, but it's handy when people come in with 20-year-old plans and they, there was a subdivision and 20 years later they want to develop one of the lots. It'd be nice to be able to tell them, well, typically the commission says after X number of years that they'd like to see it redelineated. And there's always the caveat that if you pick a certain number and then it's 2 years less than that, if there's been a huge amount of development with impervious surfaces in that watershed, you could always say for that reason, we want to see it redelineated. But, flagging wetlands is a snapshot in time. And if I go to a site and the beavers have been there and the water's up and I have to flag it that day, that it reflects that. And wetlands do change over time and beavers are only one reason.
Well, the rationale seems obvious. I think that we live in a changing world, and we have to account for that. Yes, Commissioner Obert.
Yes, I thought when the subdivision is in place, any lot that gets developed has to come in for its own application. So it would have to show the wetlands.
That's true starting now, but up until any subdivisions before July 1st, I had a developer come in today and tell me that he believes his approval said that he all of his lots are valid as long as he sticks with that plan and he doesn't need to come back in for individual permits. And I said, well, please show me that document. But
He doesn't have it.
well, he might. I'm not saying that he doesn't, and I don't want to make him do unnecessary work either. Maybe he did get one of those approvals, but this has been sort of a point of contention, and now Marla, as one of her last acts, took that away so that that's not going to happen to this commission again anymore. But any plans, like I said, subdivisions that predated July 1st of this year, that doesn't apply.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Yes, I think the recommendation to put a time limit is prudent, and it also provides certainty. Certainty for the commission, certainty for the applicant, and certainty for all those that hold existing approvals, so that you can't just leave it forever. In my business that I started out is there's concepts called things are not left for perpetuity. There's a time frame, and although they could be very long, you want to have certainty. So it goes back to some basic concepts in business of like you can't just go on forever. And for that reason, I recommend we put a certain date. I can't imagine more than 10 years. 5 years makes some sense. I want to avoid having the Wetland Scientists Employment Act being employed here, where every 3 years it has to be done. I felt like I don't know, that seems kind of short. I don't know if there's a perfect number, but biblical at 7 years is a good time for a lot of stuff. Maybe 7 years is the right number. So those are my observations. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Neill. I agree. I think the delineation, quite apart from the nature of the application, the delineation of the wetlands itself has to be up to date, and because we are talking about something that by nature fluctuates. And I think that the argument from fairness, Margaret, is a very good one to emphasize. That that said, if we'd like to adopt this policy, do you like the sound of 7 years, and that would distinguish us from other
Well, what do the other commission members think?
I think I'm deferring to your experience in this case of what makes 10 sounds like a lot to me.
I don't object to 7.
Okay.
Is this something that would have to be stated in the bylaws?
I don't think so. And I don't think it would need to be in the regulations. Well, the bylaw question hadn't come up before, honestly. I hadn't thought about the bylaws. What in the other towns where we did this, all they did, I showed examples of other policy statements. Sometimes members would sign them periodically and re-update the policy statements, but as far as I know, it could just be done as a policy statement, but if you want me to ask a town attorney about that, I suppose I could. I was hoping, I don't think it would have to be in the regulations. And I'm not sure how to determine if it has to be in the bylaws.
I would check with the town attorney because it's a something that somebody might challenge us with. So if we do it in the most legally viable fashion, that would leave less.
Okay, let me do that, and I'll put this back on the next agenda for consideration, and thank you.
If I could add to the comment and discussion, as far as, you know, those permits and approved permits and outstanding plans that are out there without a date, that's valuable to someone. By restricting the term, then all of a sudden you've diminished the value of their asset. So I think we really want the attorneys to weigh in on this one, all right? And whether it's a go forward or retrospective. I mean, the concept of retrospective liability is not foreign to our region, and you find yourself getting dragged into things that you didn't realize. But having something unlimited begs the question. You know, in perpetuity is sort of a big question mark. So let's get council to weigh in, and by next commission, maybe I'd suggest, Chair, that we might want to resolve it by then, and try to go back. You know, we can say immediately for all those existing and future, and if we would have a flood of new applicants coming in to get their apps either affirmed or not. But we're talking about real money here. If you all of a sudden say, yeah, I have a approved plot plan for a development, and now I can't use it, that makes a big difference. That could be big bucks. So let's make sure we get some backing.
Those are all good points.
Thank you.
But Margaret, if you're comfortable doing that, and then perhaps we could have
I can't foresee how it would possibly be meant to apply to previous applications. You know, it would have to be applications that are received after the date that this.
So you're suggesting that any that have been approved that without that date are in perpetuity forever and ever? That begs, I think that offends the conscience.
Well, no, but I guess what I'm getting at is, for example, with this 20-year-old subdivision,
Right.
I don't foresee hauling them in and say your delineation is too old. I think
No.
it wouldn't get, what usually triggers this is, for example, someone comes in with a new application and wants to use an old delineation.
Right. What I'm getting at, don't misunderstand me. I'm saying if they were never done, if they were done 20 years ago, that doesn't mean they can continue. That's my point. So let's put a time limit on it. It's more current for all the reasons that were cited. And we don't want people thinking they're good and they're 20 years old and they're still good. We want to make it clear that no, if it's over X years, it must be redone. So I'm not saying capping well, I'm saying there's a time frame for the viability of those delineations, as for the points you raised, based on the hydrology, all the different ologies that go with this stuff, you know, geology and all the other things, the beaver activity and the land use and things. So,
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you all. This brings us to budget report. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm skipping over citizens' comments. This is another opportunity for members of the general public to comment on any of yes, Ms. Clark.
You could have finished what you were saying.
No. It's a chance to address any of the agenda items that are we've discussed tonight, or to share your thoughts and questions. Please do so.
Valerie Clark, 105 Elm Road. And first I want to, again, and I know I've said this before, this commission, not to slight any others, but is one of the most intelligent, articulate, and well-run commissions in the town. So I appreciate that very, very much, and I appreciate the thoughtful discussions I've just heard. I wanted to go back to the changing of the time of the meeting, and I think it most closely, Commissioner O'Neill's comments most closely reflect how I was thinking about the 7 p.m. time frame. I think that volunteer or otherwise, commissioners are charged with serving in the best interest of the townspeople. And I believe that the townspeople have other items that they need to tackle that are required, like sustenance and getting home safely from work and taking care of children and making sure that they are safe, secure, fed, ready for their evening before they attend a meeting. Is an important meeting for whatever reason that they have an application or their neighbor does. And so I think that the discussion about changing the time needed to center more heavily on what the townspeople's need was. I know for me tonight, I had 2 meetings that were outside of my work that I needed to attend. This was one of them. So changing to 6:30 would have prevented me from benefiting from this meeting. And I always benefit from being in this meeting. The other item is that when you do discuss, which it sounds like there's appetite to discuss the Zoom meetings, my observation is that you have had opportunities with the Zoom meetings that were not present previously when they were in-person meetings only. One being that more citizens can attend and be involved in their town government, which is a positive. And the other being that more people are able to volunteer on a commission with a Zoom meeting option. And I've seen that play out since, and more cats as well. Commissioner Dustin, I appreciate that the cats like to attend the Zoom meetings too. There are just a lot of benefits to having the Zoom meetings, and I would encourage you not to stop having them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. The citizens' perspective is vitally important, and I for one, I think the entire commission values your comments on both of those items. It's very very helpful. Other citizens' comments? Okay, if not, this brings us to the budget report. Commissioner Langer, you're our treasurer. Do you have any comments to share on the budget?
Good evening. The budget line items and the expenditures are all tracking as anticipated. The only note, which I'll just bring out monthly as we go through, is that the office supplies budget initially was never anticipated to cover the cell phone. So we identify that we will be over at the end of this fiscal year. And come January, when we look at next year's budget, we'll have to just assess that and make the appropriate changes to the overall budget. And hopefully we will have an overage, as we have in the past, to cover that from one of the other categories.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This brings us to our wetlands agent report, and a number of these items we have already considered. There were a couple of things here that that we hadn't discussed. I'm looking for Margaret's report here. There we go. So I will share that. So Margaret, I should just ask you, is there anything on in your report that you feel we haven't addressed and that you'd like to comment on further?
Well, I had approached Chairman Dustin about most towns allow secretaries or agents to sign permits for them and put their initials underneath. And Chris is Chairman Dustin is willing to have me sign permits for him and add my initials. I wouldn't do it for any Mylars, and we just felt that we should somehow document that this is a possible change so that nobody is surprised if I sign a permit other than a wetlands agent for the chairman with my initials underneath. And it is standard practice in other towns. So we just wanted to let folks know about that. if there's any, or if there aren't any objections, I think that's what the chairman and I were thinking would help streamline the process.
Other commissioner, from my point of view, this was a workflow issue. If my successor decides that he or she would enjoy the privilege of signing these applications, we can certainly change that going forward.
I have a comment on that.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Yeah, I'd recommend you do it. So I guess we should have been doing it all along. It's administratively, and with my organization, it's like I have my staff do it. You get the final, but you normally you get an email approval saying, yeah, you go ahead and we're done. You have there's an okay, a verbal or some other acknowledgement. I usually do an email and say, yeah, go ahead and use my signature, and they put it in. So that way administratively things go. And today we still live in the world of so-called wet signatures, but so rapidly I think many of us see that, at least in business, I can't remember the last time I actually had a wet signature on a bond letterhead, maybe twice last year. All the rest are all digital and they're all encrypted, and we move on. So let's speed it up. Faster the better. Hey, I think the whole town should adopt Adobe and all the various components and save hundreds of trees, thousands of trees in time, because you can do so much faster and more things faster, and time costs a lot of money, and it's something we can't buy. Thank you.
Thank you.
George just raised a very strong argument for why Zoom meetings are desirable, because the amount of paper that goes into a packet for a meeting like this, not only does it take a lot of trees, it takes an incredible amount of time for an agent who doesn't have any support staff.
I should adopt it throughout the town entirely, because just to add to that, if I could, Commissioner, because I see some other commissions and I see them, stacks of paper being sent U.S. Postal Service. Now there's a cost in time, which is more expensive than the pure postage. And we're talking, that's the analog world. That's the last millennia methodology. I've been using PDFs for 25 years, and we do huge deals. The attorneys used to sit in the rooms and do all this stuff. Never. We don't do it anymore. Some legacy thing, sometimes one thing has to be done, but the cost is huge. Flying people all over the place, or making somebody go back and forth to the copy machine is crazy. And the reams of paper, never mind the cost, and the time. The time is the greatest thing. So I'd encourage all the commissions, not just our commission, but the conservation, the P&Z, all the different ones should try to adopt that. And my feeling is that it's not a question of capacity, it's a question of just leadership. We need leadership in this area from the various chairs to say, yep, we're going to do it. That's how it's going to be. We're going to use digital. All the documents are going to be posted on the website. You want them? Download them on your computer. You want a hard copy? Print them. But why kill the tree? I print one page a day, one page. That's it. And that's my calendar. I put it on my desk, and I keep them and I archive them, because you never know. Thank you.
To that point, Mr. Chairman, to that point, when would be the optimal time for the Zoom document to be on the website? For all of us to go to that link and send it down and print it if we want to.
That's where it is.
When would be the optimal time for that? I understand that we want to prepare this once and have it right when it goes out for the meeting. So when would be the optimal time?
Well, Margaret, is there a requirement about that? When the documents need to be posted?
Well,
why I'm suggesting that is that if we know that it was available at Monday at 11 o'clock, for example, then we would have from Monday at 11 o'clock until the time of the meeting to be responsible citizens to read this stuff and to not need to take the time at the meeting as we did tonight. Yes, it was good that we did review it, but come on, we're adults. If I knew, all of us knew, and all of the citizens of the town knew that at this time, those Zoom documents would be ready to be downloaded and used in advance of the meeting. That was my question. The Madison Avenue Road acceptance, there was a lot of drainage issues over there. when it became first built. And neither you nor the current DPW director necessarily have the history. The architect, the landscape architect, is somebody that we've seen work on other projects recently, so he knows what it all is. But
Well, we're
utility
getting,
engineer, I didn't think that that was the guy's name. But at any rate, we do want to make sure that we check that out before we sign off on it.
okay. We're getting a little bit ahead of here on agenda items. Margaret, did you want to say something about the posting of Zoom documents?
Well, they're always up by 3:30 on Monday. So if you need to have a set time set in your head when you can get at them, I think this week they got put up before that, but
Yes.
3:30 is the latest they would ever be put up.
Well, that's something that I think I did not know, and I didn't see as a reference point. It would be good for us to for me to take advantage of the availability and save the time.
The
Thank you.
problem is that there's this huge flurry of activity with people walking in with permits either the day before or the day of the meeting. And
Yes.
so it gets like becomes a sort of an avalanche, but I put what I have up certainly before I leave on the day before the meeting, which the absolute latest would be 3:30.
Mhm.
And I don't think I've done it that late before, so 3:30 is a good time if you can live with that, to keep that in your mind.
Okay, and Commissioner O'Neill pointed out the accessibility of these things as well. So, okay, 3:30 on Monday. Thanks.
Thank you. And perhaps we can move quickly through these other items.
Yes, I had been asked to find out when the Planning and Zoning Commission was going to move over to the Shopper's Guide, and they have done so now exclusively, and so has the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I
Wonderful.
don't know if Amy's listening. Maybe Amy could tell us if the selectmen are planning to do it, or are they going to stick with the villager? And she may not be with us at this time.
With us. All right, perhaps we'll get more information on that in the
Okay,
future.
with the Madison Avenue road acceptance, I know that there were a lot of problems over 20 years, and I just found out today that in 2017 they came back and applied for a plan that with a quite a different, great big long drainage easement on it to shed most of the water from Madison Ave onto one of the single lots. And so it also turned out today, Janet Blanchette emailed me when I had asked her about looking into reviewing it, because it was kind of came up suddenly at the end of a couple days ago, and I was kind of grasping at straws about how to, I've never seen anybody sign off on a road without a review engineer. We don't have a review engineer in town, and we don't have peer review engineer, which this is the only town I've ever worked in that doesn't have that. So I was in a bit of a quandary, and Janet emailed me this morning and said that according to the Planning and Zoning Commission regulations, the applicant is obliged to pay an engineer to give them a statement to the effect that the road was built according to the design specifications. And so, sure enough, today they sent whatever that is to Cindy Dunn, the zoning enforcement officer, and she says she has what she needs from them now. But as far as me signing off as for wetlands, it's not the same thing as asking me to look at the wetlands on the individual lots. And all the years I've been doing this kind of work, I have never been the person to oversee the installation of a road in a subdivision, although I've delineated the wetlands for many subdivisions. So I'm happy that Greg, the surveyor from Killingley Engineering, is gonna meet me out there tomorrow, and we're gonna go over where the drainage comes out into a sediment basin, and I'm gonna look at that and make sure that no sediment is making its way into the nearby wetland. So I'm trying to do my due diligence to,
What time will you be there? I know
11,
that
11
site.
o'clock tomorrow.
The time,
11 o'clock tomorrow, it
11
says.
o'clock? I know that site and I think I'm available 11, but, if you would like an extra,
Oh, a second pair of eyes is always welcome.
okay, 11 o'clock, I'm making the note.
Okay, and then my last thing I added to my report was, didn't have a bold heading on it here, the expansion of the pond constructed by, basically it's Rawson, but it's called Strategic Commercial Realty. They built a pond at 0 Aquatic Town Farm Road with permits. Although I did get a few weeks after I started working here, I got the postcard in the mail from them that says that the work was finished. And now, today, I was contacted by their attorney who applied for a new special permit with the Planning and Zoning Commission to expand the pond over from Thompson over the town line to connect to a pond in Putnam. And it does involve more work in Thompson, short of the town line, which is more grading in a water course. And I told Ms. Smith that I thought it was going to require a permit, and she said that the pond wasn't done yet, even though I pointed out I had gotten the postcard saying that the work was done. And she said there's no work in wetlands, at which time I pointed out to her that we are the wetlands and water, the regulations are concerned with wetlands and water courses. And she still said she didn't think the work would require a permit. However, it appears that this work is beyond the scope of work shown on the approved plans. And today, when I was leaving, there was a message from the surveyor who's working on it. So I'm under pressure to tell these people they don't need a permit, but I don't see how I can do that.
Not only is the work in a wetland, it is wetland.
It's in a water course, right? A pond.
Water course, right? Wetland is broadly defined. So, I don't know if your understanding seems correct.
Mr. Dustin?
Yes.
Okay, this particular applicant and work was by the soccer fields down there, right? Right as you leave, head going south on Aquatic Road, on the right-hand side, on the east
Aquatic
side
Town
of the road.
Farm Road.
Right, and that was a field, and it was been completely excavated. If you look at the original application, that water pond, which was created, a wetland was created, if I'm not mistaken, which is 30 feet deep down to the north side, or the north side of the activity, and it's continuing on. So I'd encourage you to go slowly and to make sure you check all the boxes. And I don't have your expertise in this particular technical side, but it strikes me that it would require more thorough diligence as you're suggesting. So I encourage you to hold on until you get the facts straight.
Well, thank you. And it was first brought to my attention by Bruce Fitzback, who's a surveyor who is the Putnam Wetlands agent now. And he told me that they approached him and he said to them, you are going to have to go back to the town of Thompson and make sure that you don't need a permit from them.
Yeah.
And so I've known about this for quite a while. And now she's put in an application for, she's put in an application for a special permit. And
Yeah, I read that.
I just don't see how we can look the other way because it's beyond the scope of work for the work that was already supposedly completed when they sent me the postcard. So I don't think I'll be backing down on this one until something comes to light to refute what I'm saying.
There you go.
Not only should we not look the other way, we should scrutinize, I think.
Yeah, keep your eyes, hands. I've got your back. We've got your back on this one. Let's get the facts, and if it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Have them substantiate it with subject matter expertise, not just I don't think so. That doesn't cut it, in my opinion. Not where I come from, and not where I work. So, make them, prove your point. And if you're right, fine. But the burden of proof is on the applicant. So let's go that road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and the remaining items under correspondence, none of these requires any action on the part of the commission, but it is informational. Margaret, do you have any particular comments? I'm gonna, this is the supplementary material and I was going to bring it up.
No discussion is needed.
Okay.
Well, unless if the commission wants to, well, I can just add that as far as the solar farm on Pompeo Road, it's overseen by the Connecticut Siting Council and Connecticut DEEP, and the town has no jurisdiction. However, First Selectman Amy St. Ange said that she is going to ask them for a public hearing. There are a number of folks who live on Pompeo Road who want to have their voices heard, and rightly so. At the Conservation Commission, we'll be discussing it at their next meeting. There are 2 vernal pools on the property, but they are avoiding work in those vernal pools. And as far as I can tell by reviewing those attachments, which you can see by clicking on the link that I sent out, there's no work in wetlands. One basin is quite close to the road, and I've got some concerns about preventing road damage. So I'll be communicating with the DPW director about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's hundreds of pages there. So I read through a good chunk of it. I
I
get involved with these projects on large commercial buildings. They're putting them on the roofs. So anyway.
I hope that the citizens' voices will be heard on this. And then finally, the Center for Watershed Protection is something that we might take note of in the interest of our own continuing education. But and you've shared that with the commission.
Yes.
Good. And there are no Mylars to sign. Comments by commissioners before we adjourn.
The solar farm that the pictures just went zipping by. I looked at the site on MapGeo and saw that there are 3 wetlands in the area. I'm more interested in the detail that I just saw, and I would like to look at it again. And Margaret, tomorrow, 11 o'clock at Madison Avenue.
Oh, very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other
Good night,
comments?
everyone.
Good night.
Good
Well,
night.
first I need a motion.
A motion to adjourn.
Okay. That's seconded. Thank you, Commissioner Morano, for seconding that motion. All those in
Aye.
favor? All those opposed? Thank you.
The anarchist rule.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
all for all your hard work tonight, and we'll see you in a month, if not before.
Charlie, check Margaret's email. It's a link there, and it goes to the state website, and it's got tons of documents and all the
Yes.
site maps and everything. So you'll find it
Good, okay.
very good reading. So it's all there.